And the other part of it, other side of it, you're looking at energy and money use, and asks you the question related to, is the proposed use providing infrastructure that will assist you in reaching your holistic goal? Is it building infrastructure, like buildings, machinery, building skills and training staff? Those are a lot more permanent investments into your business, or is it one-time use? It's being you spend it. Is it one-time use versus ongoing use? And you just want to watch out for consumptive uses of energy and money that continue to have to put money into something, and you just something that just makes you raise your level of awareness of what is happening to the energy and money in this particular action or decision that you're making. The next question relates to sustainability. The sustainability test asks you to consider the long-term environmental and social consequences of your actions and behaviors relative to the future resource base that you described in your holistic goal. You look at the social aspect of it. In every case, there will be people who influence or are influenced by your decisions that are impacted by the action or decisions that you're making. For example, you want to apply using compost to improve your soil fertility. Can you manage the smell, or is there a smell relative to the making of the compost or the use of the compost that may impact neighbors? If there is, well, you need to address that in some way. Also, your decision or action will probably impact the biological community, and will it affect will it have a positive or a negative effect on the biological community, and you're also asking whether it moves you towards that future resource, the land future resource description that you put in your holistic goal. For example, you're going to put in fencing. You're going to increase the number of pastures. Okay, you do that, you get a response you get is you reduce the amount of bare soil. You have less erosion. Well, you're improving the water quality in a nearby stream. Well, part of your holistic goal may have been to have a nice, a good quality fishery and stream next to your property, if the one that improved the water quality next to that stream that's running next to your property, and that would be moving you in that direction. The next question relates to society and culture, and this is really one that you asked at the end. This is the gut feeling or the feeling question. So after considering all the questions and your holistic goal, how do you feel about this action or decision now? And because it is kind of a gut feeling question, you ask it at the end. This question helps to ensure that what you decide will be kind of socially sound and sustainable. So those are the 7 testing questions. And you just want to remember that your final decision will not be based on any one of these tests. You're building a mental picture based on your answers to each of the testing questions. And some situations you may still agree to do an action based that even though it fails certain actions, but at least you've raised the level of awareness of what the potential impact of this action or decision is on the social, economic, environment considerations. Now that we have created a plan, it's really based on the best information that we have available at this point in time. We've tested the decisions that developed this plan, and we think we're heading in the right direction. Now we need to make sure that we stay going in the right direction, and we do that by monitoring and essentially completing that feedback loop. It's like driving a car. I have to continually make adjustments as I drive if I'm going to get from my current location to my planned destination. I can't just put it on cruise control and expect to end up in my destination without making any adjustments. If I don't monitor and turn for that, make adjustments for that corner that's coming up, I know I'm going to end up in a ditch. In the same way as a plan, I can't put that newly developed financial plan on the shelf and expect it to implement it successfully. It's really easy to assume that I've made all the right decisions and the plan will work out great. But really, to implement a plan successfully, you need to continually monitor and make adjustments and corrections. And again, that's the feedback loop that we need to deal with. And that's where we develop the plan, we monitor closely, We take action if there's deviations from the plan to control it, and if there's major deviations, we may have to replan. And then again, the monitor, and it's a continuous process. And that's where the feedback loop is really a plan, monitor, control, and replan. And the key to this is monitoring for the earliest warning signs or indicators. When you're dealing with human relations and relationships, you want to monitor continually for any types of stress or loss of interest in the holistic goal. If that's the case, you need to make adjustments and try to figure out what's happening. If you develop your financial plan, you need to monitor monthly for the income and the expenses within specific categories. And you annually want to look at the ecosystem. One of the things that, due to the complexity of the ecosystem and the environment, it's so easy to assume that we're right, but really holistic management asks us to assume that we're wrong, that we're making, especially when we're dealing with decisions that relate to the environment itself. It's a very complex system, and if we assume we're wrong, then key is to monitor for the earliest detection that we're going in the right directions, and we will make adjustments to that. Again, it's not just, you don't want to just monitor. You want to take action and take control and make adjustments to as you needed. And if you find out that you're monitoring, you find out you're not moving towards your holistic goal, then it's key to make that adjustment. For example, if you're monitoring your expenses, see that gas expenditures are higher than this month than planned. You ask yourself why? What happened? Well, I had to make multiple trips to town. Well, then maybe the action would be, well, I'll do a better job of planning to reduce trips to town. Maybe I'll try to combine trips better, try to communicate better with other people in the family to reduce the number of trips to town. Or another example is your income is down for the month. And then you go back and look at your income projections. Well, were they too optimistic? Or did your sale get delayed for a few weeks? If that's the case, you know the income is coming sooner, so you may not have to make a total replan, but if you find out that your income projections were too optimistic and it's going to be down significantly, then that would be a major adjustment, and you'd have to go back and replan. I know I've covered a fair amount of information here tonight, and I just want to open it up again one more time to see if there's any questions, and then and after that we'll switch presenters and go into the next portion.
Okay, this is Melissa again. We've got a couple of good questions from our audience today, but they're pretty long-winded ones, I'm afraid. Since it's so close to the next presentation, I thought I'd suggest I bring up one that Diane Green asked, and I think a lot of people out there might be asking the same question. This is such a complex process that you've just talked about. About how long did it take you from the time you started working with holistic management to feel like you were confident that you were starting to meet your holistic goals?
Well, it actually didn't take. I mean, there's a lot of information in holistic management, but you can, if you've developed your holistic goal and have a clear vision of what you want, that is the key component of really the whole process. The testing guidelines help you just to keep on track, but you can start making, if you got a clear vision, and it's like when I was working for Natural Resource Conservation Service, I was definitely not headed where I really wanted to go. So by writing down what I really wanted and what was valuable to Sulani, and when Sulani and I sat down and wrote that down and started looking at it and discussing it, and then we started making decisions that would help us create that. And that was, okay, we started working for NRCS was not going to help us create that. So we started, okay, now we started evaluating what's next. And that's where some of the testing guidelines and some of that came into play. But you can do it fairly quickly. Once you start, I think, like I say, the key is writing that holistic goal and getting that written down and having that clear vision of what you really want, what's really important to you. And once you have that, the rest of it